Well, everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome to day one of the Purpose to Profit Faith Biz Jumpstart. I'm very, very excited to have you all as a part of today's session. I am Dr. Coylette James. I am pleased to be the facilitator and the host of this. And I just kind of want to start off by giving you a little background, a little backdrop on what we have going on today and how I got to where I am to present this to you today. So, FaithBiz Blueprint is one of my companies. It's a passion of mine that I started last year, and it literally started as just a GPT. I created this FaithBiz Blueprint GPT, and the whole crux of it was so that people within the kingdom who wanted to create kingdom businesses could do so from a kingdom perspective from day one. So the GPT allows you to go in, it's much like Chat GPT. It allows you to go in, excuse me, and build your business plans, your marketing plans, your financial forecast, your social media posts, all of those things. It allows you to do that from a kingdom perspective from day one. So it incorporates scriptures and all the things that are key to what it is that God has called you to do. I'm very, very passionate about the kingdom of God because I am a member of it. And so, because I am a daughter of the King, it is very, very important to me that people understand who they are in the kingdom and what they've been called to accomplish as the ecclesia of God. That is another word that you'll probably hear me use a lot. Hopefully, you are already familiar with it. But as the ecclesia, when Christ says, "Upon this rock I will build my ecclesia," the newer translations translated as "build my church," but what it literally said was, "I will build my ecclesia." And his ecclesia is his governmental body. It is the people of God who are called to sit at the gate. If you look up the word ecclesia in the Greek, it encompasses the keepers of the gate, or the kind of like who our Senate and our Congress are. They were the people who enacted laws, who made sure that whatever God was saying was law, literally, and it was carried out as such. So when you think about being part of the ecclesia is called to take over or take dominion of everything within this earth realm. And so that's why it's really important to know your identity and know who you are. Now, why is this important if you are called to create a business, or if you have a message that you want to take from just being in the confines of the church and put it out on the world stage, and you want to monetize that message? Well, it's very, very important so that you understand that it is literally a mandate from God to do this. It literally is. I've taught entrepreneurship since 2005. I've taught kingdom empowerment seminars, and all of it was always from the perspective of entrepreneurship being a call of God. It's called marketplace ministry. Well, over the years, I have learned and I have encountered and grown within what God has given me to do, to understand that it is not just limited to the four walls of the church. And so there is a process in, literally, especially for clergy and those of us who have served in the church for so long, to understand how do we take that message to the world stage. Now, I've had pushback from people that think that I am just trying to sell the gospel, which is not true. It couldn't be farther from the truth, okay? What it is, though, is there has to be a way to fund the kingdom. And when God pulls us out of the secular arena of work, he gives us a way to monetize what he has given us, to monetize our message. Now, the message that we stand behind the pulpit and we teach Sunday after Sunday, week after week, Bible study after Bible study, that is not the message that I'm talking about. just so that we're clear, all right, I am not trying to profit off the gospel. However, there are messages and ideas and things that God has placed within us, because he is that kind of a God, that he will allow us to take out to the world. Now, what it does, it allows us to demonstrate his flow without being preachy. Without, there's a lot of people who will never walk into a sanctuary. They'll never walk into church, but they still need to know the God that we serve. And a lot of times that happens through the messages that God will give us. So, me, for example, one of my key primary messages is on identity. And I have looked at identity on so many different ways and on different scales. And God has blessed me to take the message of identity out into global stages, not just within the church. And as I deliver the message, I've done the identity of leadership. I've done the identity of being a daughter of the king. I've done the identity of the ecclesia. I've done just identity in recognizing that there is greatness within you. But everything centers around the core message that he has given me, dealing with identity. Now, because I know the purpose in which he's given me, I don't have a problem taking that and utilizing it. Sorry, y'all, didn't turn the phone off, and this is what happens when you're live. I can take that same message out unto the world and make sure that I am sharing it from a kingdom perspective without being preachy. And here's what I do. And so that, this is just a little tidbit before we actually get into the crux of the clarity and the confidence and what have you of monetizing your message. How God has given me to present it is, when I'm talking about identity, I utilize the fact that I am a woman of faith. I let them know up front so that they understand what perspective I am bringing to them. Because I am a woman of faith, I believe that our identity is rooted and grounded in who we were created to be. And because I believe that we were created by God with purpose and identity already in us, that is how I lead off. And then I can go into your purpose and your identity and how that regulates your life and everything you do. So I don't have to stand there with a Bible in my hand. I don't have to quote scriptures all the through with what I'm sharing, because I don't, but I set the tone because I'm a woman of faith, and this is the platform I come from. Now, it's really, really interesting that I have learned over the years, as I have been in situations, that just because I am who I am and I represent the way I represent, people are drawn to ask me questions. I recently, a few months ago, this year, attended a retreat in Spain, and it wasn't a spiritual retreat by any means. Actually, it was a leadership retreat. But because of the different conversations and the things that were shared on the last day of the retreat, I had something happen that just blessed my soul. All right. Because we've never cracked open a Bible. We haven't been quoting scriptures, although there were three of us there that were, faith-based women, but there were others there that either didn't believe at all or had different beliefs. There was one that got up and chanted every morning, "Hey, that's you, that's cool." You never get into these situations with condemnation or pointing a finger or "you're going to go to hell if you're doing that." No, you just live and be who God created you to be. And on the last day of the retreat, we're sitting around, we're having like just our morning cup of coffee and just talking. And one of the young ladies said something to me. She said, "I have to tell you this." And I was like, "Okay." Because I'm like, "All right, what's wrong?" Right? And she began to say, "I have never been a person of faith." She said, "In fact, I was just the opposite. I ran from it." She said, "But just in spending these days with you and just watching and observing you and listening to you, my perception of faith is changing." And that blessed me so much, because all I had to do was be who God created me to be. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to go into the world toting your Bible, as they say, and preaching. You just need to go and be who God created you to be. Now, for you pastors, that's a little transition there because that's what you're used to doing. You're used to preaching the word. But I promise you, if God has given you a message for the world stage, you will be who you will be, but you will be able to deliver that message as God has given it to you without being preachy. Okay. And with being accepted wherever God is leading you to go. So, with that being said, I've welcomed you. I'm hopeful that you have a better understanding where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to proselytize the word of God, I promise you. But I do know that many of you have businesses, many of you have messages that you need to get to the world stage. Now, one of the things I just kind of touched on briefly a few minutes ago that I wrestled with was monetizing my message. I'm so used to giving it away for free that I was having a real hard time with this monetization thing. And God had to help me understand that, listen, there is value in what I've placed within you. And anything that's valued can have a price tag. Now, I'm not going to sell my soul to sell the message, but I do realize and understand the value that God has gifted me with. I want you to do the same thing. I want you to take stock of and understand the value of what God has given you. He may have given you a book, He may have placed a book inside of you. I've written 8. There's a value in that. Your time is valuable. Now, honestly, understand it's easier for me to just give it away than it is for me to monetize it because I'm a giver, because that's just who I am. But I also understand I got bills to pay, and without a 9 to 5, there needs to be some kind of facilitating of income. And again, if God has placed the vision within you, He's placed a value on it, and He will allow you to use it. So, with that being said, we're going to go into tonight's session. We have 3 sessions. That we're going to talk about. The first one is going to be to unmute your message. To unmute your message. Again, a lot of you have messages inside and you've not understood how to share them with the world other than just getting behind the pulpit. I got one more thing to put out here too. Sharing your message out on the global stage is different than sharing your message behind a pulpit, all right? When you go to share your message in the church, normally, if you're called to be a guest speaker, there's already a theme, there's a scripture, and you follow the theme that the church has given you to minister on. When you go to the global stages, you need a signature keynote, a signature message, okay? As I just shared with you, mine is dealing with identity. Whatever God has given you, make it your signature keynote, or what you do your workshops on, or how you present, and you tailor different speeches and different things around that keynote. Okay. So you're not every time you go out there giving something different. That was something else that I had to get used to in this transition, because it's really easy in the church. It's like, okay, every Sunday you're looking for another message, and it's a different message than the one you gave the Sunday before, unless you're dealing with a series. My apostle right now has been in a series for a while. So every message may be different, but it's all around that series. It's kind of the same thing when you're out here on the global stage and you're presenting a message. So make sure that you zero in on the message that God is giving you and make it your signature message. All right. And He will show you the beauty of the Holy Spirit dwelling within you, will show you how to tailor that. All right. Okay. Now, with all of that, we're going to go into, I'm going to share my slideshow and want to make sure that I'm sharing it correctly. So, Michael, I may need you to come off mute and just let me know if the slideshow is sharing properly and in the proper place because sometimes that gets a little confusing. Everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. And why am I hearing this? Jumpstart. Hold on. I'm very, very excited to have you all as a part of. Oh, okay. I know what that is. Never mind. Okay, bye. Now, that was my YouTube kicking in. It took it a while. Okay, so now, Michael, are you seeing the slideshow or no? Michael? Mm-mm-mm. Okay, I'm gonna stop this really quick just to be sure. All right. Pastor Chason, I just need you for a moment as I share. Could you let me know if you are seeing the slideshow properly or if you're just seeing me?
I was seeing it before when you said you would stop it, then it went back to you.
And then it went back. So now it's on me and not on the slideshow.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Hold on. Okay, what about now?
All right, now it's on.
Now it's on. Okay, great. All right.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
All right. So tonight we're dealing with purpose to profit, the faith-biz jumpstart. So what we're going to deal with tonight is the clarity, the confidence, and kingdom strategy that we will use as we go out to share our message. So, this is day one, as I said in the beginning, and day one is dealing with unmute your message. So, there's three components to unmuting your message. There's the identity, which leads to the assignment, which leads to the audience. Okay. And that goes on to equate to why your message matters and that your voice is a kingdom solution. So let's start with your assignment discovery. All right. What has God entrusted to your voice? That's the first question that you need to ask God. What has He given you to give you? The assignment to go out and complete what it is He's called you to do. And then going back into understanding how your identity and your assignment ties into your audience, you can really start to look at what themes have followed your life seriously, and what transformation do you carry? When you think about the themes that have followed your life, we have to go back and understand that when God formed us in our mother's womb, He did it with purpose. All right. And so most of the time, that purpose has been caught up within us all along, every step of the way. All right. We just didn't tap into it. I've always had a thing about identity. Now, how did my identity walk start? Well, because I was adopted, number one, at 3 months old. So my identity was not solidified biologically in me. So I was always curious about identity. And Obviously, there was a purpose and a reason for that. There are themes that have followed your life that you have progressed in through your lifetime, and that leads to the discovery of your assignment. And then what transformation do you carry? You are the answer to someone else's questions, okay? Transformation comes from within. It's not just going to the beauty shop or going to the barber shop and get your do done or get makeup put on or whatever. Transformation, true transformation comes from within. So you need to study what transformation do you carry from within you. And then you have to get clarity on your audience. Who has God called you to serve? Who are you called to? Who are you called to? And what are they struggling with? Okay. This is very, very important because if you are their answer and you are called to a particular group of people, then you need to know who you're called to so you can identify your message to them. And a lot of times we think that our message is for everybody. How many times have I heard that, I'm called to the world and my message is for everybody, or the product I have is for everybody? No, you've got to zero down in it. So for me, when I zeroed down, my first calling, first and foremost, was to women because I can identify with their pains, their struggles. I can identify with their voices being silenced. I can identify with their low self esteem because somebody has said something to them, even maybe they said it to themselves, that have caused them to shrink back, caused them to mute their voice or their message. All right. And then next, as I looked at it, I've always loved business. Okay. So it was like, well, God took me in 2005 and started me doing teachings and trainings on entrepreneurship. Again, what were people struggling with? That has led me to today because people were struggling with the thought that God had no place within their business, that their business was their business and God was just for Sunday, which couldn't be farther from the truth. God is incorporated in every single part of our lives, okay? God does not release a message unto the earth without preparing an audience for it. So before he called you to release the message he gave you, he had already prepared an audience to it. Somebody's clarity is tied up to your obedience. So that's why it's important for you to unmute yourself, unmute your voice. Somebody's next step is tied to your voice. And the enemy's greatest strategy is always to silence the voices that carry solutions. So that's why it's important to unmute your assignment, but you got to be clear on your audience. And what are they praying for in private? You will only be able to find out that in the presence of God. Because again, He created you on purpose for a purpose. And it is up to you to walk out that purpose. That's why this is perfect purpose to profit. Okay, because it's not just a monetary profit that we're looking and we're going after as we serve the Lord. It is profit in seeing other people's lives transform because of the message that God gave you. And that's why it is so important that we don't just stay in the four walls of the church. That is why it is so important that we do launch out on the global stage. Now, you may not be called to the world stage immediately because it's a process, it's a training. You can start in your home and you grow from your home to your church, but then you go from your church to your community, and from the community to maybe statewide, and then countrywide, and then globally. So understand that there is a process and a progress that comes with going from purpose to profit. but it's all rooted and grounded in what God has given you and the platform that He has given you to share with. Now, I know some of you are called specifically to specific genders. Like I said, my first calling was to women because I know their struggle. So my Lioness Warrior Kingdom started with helping women to heal from past abuses, to heal from the words that have been spoken over them, to keep them muted, to heal from feeling that they were less than just because of their gender, just because of their gender. But what I had to find out was, well, Lord, what are they struggling with? First and foremost was identity. That's my call to them. There are other people that are called to women that have a different calling, but mine was their identity. First and foremost, they had to learn, they had to appreciate the value they possess. Your calling may be to men. If you're men here on the broadcast, or if you're seeing the replay of this, maybe your call is specific to men to teach the unfathered how to father, to teach a man how to be a man when he didn't grow up with an example of a man in his house. You see what I'm saying? There are so many different nuances that have a need out there. I'm called to people in business, but to kingdom businesses, not just quote unquote, I got a Christian business, so I put a fish on it. No, I'm called to help you with your kingdom mandate of entrepreneurship, to understand that it is just that. It is a kingdom mandate. What are your people praying in private? You have to zero down and get clarity for your audience before you can go out and present to them, because you need to know their pain points. People need most likely okay, let me rephrase this. People want certain things, but they need something else. Okay. Like I want a whole lot. Okay. But what I need more than anything is clarity from God on what He has for me. And that goes for everybody. We want. How many of you can raise a hand and say, Lord, I thank you for not giving me what I wanted? Because, oh my goodness, it would have been detrimental to my life. I can look back on people that I thought I wanted way back in the day. And now I have to lift my hand and say, ooh, Lord, thank you. Because I escaped that bullet. I can think of things that I wanted. I just, even, I've given a testimony several times about a home I thought was mine, but it wasn't mine. But God stopped me from praying for it and told me to pray for the home He had for me. See, this is what we need to get to. Instead of going out here and thinking our message is for the world, Lord, the message you've given me, who is the message for? And lead me to those people, because they are praying in private, but God will give you a message in public to share with them, so that you become their answer. So, your core message statement of what it is that you're going to take out here to the global stage is, I help. Who do you help? Who is your audience? Achieve what? That's a question that you have to ask. Number one, who do you help? I help, quote unquote, whom achieve what? So for me, I help women and entrepreneurs to achieve kingdom outcome. I help women to understand their value as the daughter of the king. I help them to understand the value that they possess, because once they understand their value, they never let anybody else devalue them. I help entrepreneurs to understand their identity as kingdom business builders, with the Spirit of God incorporated within their business as their blueprints, so that as they go out, they're handling their business with integrity. They're doing what Christ told them to do business until I return. But kingdom business. Why are kingdom businesses so important? Because the kingdom needs finances too. So kingdom businesses are not just out there for you to make money for yourself. They're out there to finance the kingdom, to pour in to kingdom initiatives, to make sure that the widows and the orphans are being taken care of, to make sure that the less fortunate don't have to remain in these boxes of poverty. You see, there's so much that goes with the kingdom and what God desires for his kingdom. And until we identify who we are as his ecclesia, as his governmental authority in business, in government, in the media, in our families, in churches, in education, in all of these mandates, these gates that God has called us to govern, then the kingdom is not fully being preached, and then Jesus can come back. You see how it all ties in together? It's so important. Without what? Your core message statement, without what is the main struggle that people come to and have? Your main struggle may be, as we're talking about tonight, unmuting your kingdom voice in the different arenas that God has called us to. I remember years ago, I was at a church and a prophet said something to me, and he said, it was at the end of the service, and he called me up and he said, "This does not make sense to me, but this is what God is calling me to tell you." And I'm standing there and I said, "Okay." He said, "You will impact all seven spheres of leadership." And I was like, "Okay." He said, "I don't know how that works, but you're called to impact all of the seven spheres of leadership." I didn't understand it either. I do now. Because when I teach on ecclesia and your ecclesiastic responsibility, then I'm talking to all seven spheres. I'm talking to all seven of the gates. I'm talking to everything I just named off, to arts and entertainment, to the media, to the governmental sphere, to the education, to the quote unquote religious, which if we aren't careful will get tied up and wrapped up in. It's not supposed to be about religion. It's supposed to be about relationship. But I still have to teach that from an ecclesiastical perspective. So understand the call on your life. Which one of those spheres, or maybe all of them, or there may be multiple spheres that God has called you to take dominion over. This is all part of your purpose. This is all part of your identity. Okay? This takes your purpose to profit, but you first have to identify, God, what is the purpose that you've called me to? And who am I called to reach? This is what's key in what it is that we're talking about today is understanding your identity first and foremost, and then you can understand what God has called you to. Now, I have some notes here, and I'm going to read off the notes so I don't miss any of it. We talked about, or the first slide talked about identity, assignment, and audience. Your identity reveals your assignments. All right. Again, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry that everything that I deal with, it will always circle back to identity. If you know who you are in God, then you can zero into your assignment. I can't tell you what your assignment is, but God can. And if you know your identity in Him, then you can tap into your assignment. And then it's your assignment that will reveal your audience. Whatever God has given you assignment to carry out, then that will reveal who the audience is that your assignment is called to. Again, I can't tell you that. That's something that you can only get from the throne room. But I'm prayerful that you're understanding the progression now, and your audience reveals your impact. Your audience reveals your impact. As you accept your assignment, as you accept your identity, as you accept what God has given you to present out to the world, it is then that your purpose becomes crystal clear. Excuse me. Just drink of water here real quick. I felt a cough coming on. Now, here's something that is really, really important. And hear me on this. I'm repeating something I said a little while ago, but I want to make sure that you zero in on it. You are not called to everyone. You are called to the ones assigned to your sound. To your sound. Okay? God has given you a certain frequency. Excuse me. There is a sound that he's given you. I, I laugh a lot because I have an outdoor voice. I know I have an outdoor voice, right? It's bold, it's aggressive, all right? But that's the assignment that God has placed on my life. It does not make my assignment any more relevant than someone that is very soft spoken. And you have to lean in to hear. You very rarely will have to lean in to hear me. Okay. My children will tell you that very clearly. Like I could go and stand on my back porch when they were little and call them. And no matter where they were in the neighborhood, they better been clear enough or close enough to hear my voice and come home. Because that was what God has given me. Also, my personality. Your personality will dictate part of your purpose and your assignment. I have an aggressive personality. I'm bold in what I do. But that's the personality that God gave me. It was really, really funny. My husband and I were kind of polar opposites in that respect. My husband would be that one. He was such a gentleman. And so everybody, he's going to hold the door for everybody to go out. We're on the plane. It's time to get out of our aisle, so we can get off the plane. He wants to stand there and wait for everybody. No, baby, it's our time. Come on, let's go. It's like, but he was like, that was his personality. All right. He was very laid back. Now, if you made him angry, there was that aggressive side, but you didn't want to see that side. But for me, my personality always been the aggressor. Now, the beauty of the difference in the personalities was it brought balance. It brought balance. So in your assignment, don't ever think that because you have one assignment and somebody else has a different assignment, that either are better than or more important than the other. We all bring our portion. We all bring our portion. When you understand that you carry a sound, you stop competing and start operating. All right? You stop competing and start operating. There's no competition in the kingdom. None. None. Okay? We are all members of the same body. So this eye needs this eye, okay? This ear works in conjunction with this ear. This hand works better when it has both hands together, okay? Always understand that because we're talking about bringing your purpose to profit. Sometimes we'll get caught up in vainglory and think we're all that in a bag of chips. Back it up. Back it up. Understand that God has given each of us a measure, a measure. And when we put our measure with somebody else's measure, then we begin to operate. Okay. So now let's talk about what makes your message powerful. It's been a long day. Okay. A powerful message has three things: it's clear, it's authentic, and it's relevant. All right. So you need to be clear in what it is that you're presenting. You need to be clear in what it is that you're presenting. Okay. If you confuse them, you will lose them. If you confuse them, you will lose them. So you need to be crystal clear before you take that message out there, before you take that business out there. What is it that your business is providing the need of? This is how inventions happen. Somebody realized they had a need for something, and because they had a need for it, they understood that other people needed it too, and so therefore they invented what they needed. And most of them became very, very wealthy because there were a lot of people out there that needed exactly what they had. I started this off by saying how I got to this stage right here from purpose to profit is because I've been walking through this. And so, coming from a ministerial background, I realized that other people needed to understand how to clarify the message that they take to a global stage. There's a difference in how you present it behind the pulpit and how you present it on a stage globally. All right. So, because I realized that there was a difference, I wanted to help you. You need to be authentic. You never lose your authenticity. Okay. I am authentically who God called me to be 24/7. I don't care who I'm around. I shared what happened in Spain. It does not matter. I'm authentically who I am. I've been on the same stage with people that are talking about Reiki boards, that are all about just being energy, that are all about the universe, and different philosophies that they aspire to. I'm not intimidated by them. They're obviously not intimidated by me because they're sharing their belief in who they are. Don't be intimidated to share what God has given you to share. All right? Be authentic in who you are in Him. I don't have a problem with it. Like I said, I normally start off when I'm talking about leadership identity and how you identify who you are as a leader. And are you a narcissist? Okay. Are you a leader who just doesn't pour in to their employees? Are you only there for the bottom line? Teach on all of that from a leadership perspective. But somewhere in that message, believe me, will come out. Let you understand where I'm coming from because I am a woman of faith. So my perspective is based on the fact that I believe in not the universe, but the creator of the universe. Okay. I'm not looking for the universe to align with me. The universe has already been commanded to hear me by the creator of the universe. So it changes the dynamic. And I don't have a problem saying that. I don't care who I'm on the stage with. Doesn't matter. Because they don't have a problem. I don't, this is something that I've never understood is why the body of Christ is so scared to share their message. Okay, scared to offend, but ain't nobody else scared to offend us. I don't get it. But anyway, I digress. When you're authentic, your truth carries transformation. All right. So never think you have to dim your light. Your truth carries transformation. And always keep your message relevant. It is vitally important. Your message must meet people where they actually are. That's why you need to know the pain point of your audience. What is it that your audience really needs? What are they seeking? Okay. Because that's what you need to provide. Not what they want, what they need. When we deal on the third day with AI and the different aspects and how we can incorporate that into what God has called us to do, I am going to help you drill down in FaithBiz blueprint of how to determine who your core audience is, what their pain points are, how your audience is called your avatar in AI vernacular. Okay. And I'm going to teach you how to zero in on that. That'll be day 3. But I just want you right now to understand why it's so important that you do that. All right. And then now let's talk about our last section. Identify what God has entrusted to your voice. Okay. What keeps showing up in your life? What keeps showing up? What have you overcome? Because you can't lead somebody someplace that you've never been. So, what have you overcome? What I'm teaching you on right now are things that I have walked through, and some of it's still walking through, but I've reached a certain point in it that I can pour back into you about it. What irritates you because you're called to solve it? Okay. Oh my goodness. This is a biggie. Normally, the person you're called to, the thing that you're called to, will get on your last nerve and you don't want to do it. I have been on jobs that, it's just like that one person that rides my last nerve is that one person that God has assigned me to make a difference in their lives. It's part of the assignment. It's like, Lord, really? Okay. Like, yeah, befriend your enemy. Yes, you do that. I don't care what they're saying about you, to you, whatever. You be the difference. You be the difference. Like, okay, I've learned. I've learned. Um, and what do people always come to you for? I remember complaining to God, like, why is it that everybody comes to me with questions? And he said, because I called you to be the answer. And I was like, oh, okay. It's like I can look, he has blessed me, and I'm not boasting on this, but he has blessed me to look at a situation and to be able to say, well, if you do this, this, and this, the outcome will be that. And that's an inward gift. And I was like complaining because people would come and ask my opinion about things. And it was like, well, why are they always questioning me? I was like, because I created you to be the answer. I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah, you need to understand it's part of the process, it's part of the assignment. All right. And then the last thing, your audience is not random. It's not random, it's revealed. All right. This is why it's so important that this first day was dealing with the spiritual aspects of what it is that you're purposed to take to profit. It's always, for me, especially when I can do it in this type of setting, when I'm dealing with kingdom minded people, that it's important that you really, really understand the spiritual aspect comes first. It comes first. First, you get before the throne room of God. Listen, when I say there is no competition, if you have a business, if you have a product and you're trying to take it to market and you're worrying about what your competitor is doing, there's no competition because you're getting your marketing ideas, you're getting your assignments straight from the throne room of God. Another reason why I created FaithBiz Blueprint. You're getting it straight from Him. So no matter what they're doing, yes, should you be mindful? Oh yeah, we study what our competition, quote unquote, is out there in the world. We study it so we can be better than, because we should be better than, because we're a kingdom. Not better than from the perspective of looking down, but from a more excellent standpoint. What we provide to our customers should be from a more excellent position, because we're kingdom and God is an excellent God. Okay. So, with that being said, here is my activation for you for the first day. All right. And I would like for you to please repeat this. All right. So, number one, I unmute my message. You repeat it. I unmute my message. I release my voice. I release my voice. I step into my assignment with clarity and boldness. I step into my assignment with clarity and boldness. Okay. And so now that your message hopefully will be clearer to you, your assignment tonight is to really get before the throne room of God and ask for clarity. Lord, what is it that you're calling me to? What is it that you've purposed me to take out here and make a difference, to be transformative in the lives of those you called me to? All right. I pray that this has been a blessing for you. I pray that it has hopefully opened up your eyes to really understand that there's more in store for you. There's more that God is calling you to than just limiting yourself in the four walls of the church. All right. All right. To God be the glory. And that's what I have for you tonight. I pray that you're here with us tomorrow as we dive into packaging your purpose. All right. All right. God bless. All right, y'all. That's what I have. I pray that it was good. Hey, Michael. I have to jump because I have another meeting, and I'll talk to you in the